Well, hello, everybody. This is the second podcast here on the new Primitive Substance channel. And I have a real special guest here, Al Diaz, who I played with with Liquid Liquid and a number of shows in New York. And it's a pleasure having you, Al. How you doing today?
It's a pleasure to be here. I'm good.
Good. So could you explain a little bit about your background and your interest in music back in those days?
Yeah, sure. Well, I grew up in the Lower East Side, where a lot of the music and art during the '80s was in New York City was happening. It was like the epicenter
Right.
of the art and music scene. I grew up there, so I was kind of one of the few natives.
Well, I'm sure.
But I've been making art since I was a kid, and I was, of course, introduced to music at an early age. But it wasn't until probably '79 that I took an interest in, and I was already in '79. By '79 I turned 20, so I took an interest in actually performing with percussion,
Right.
and making my own instruments and stuff like that. So I was making metallophones and kind of like marimba type instruments, like keyboards, percussion keyboards,
Right.
made out of like metal, mostly metal. I made some wood blocks, but I was making them because I was, I had access to. I was working in wood shops.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
So I could, yeah. So I had access to machinery, and I was making.
Oh.
Yeah, remember the bells that we?
Bellophones,
yeah.
And you're playing on successive reflexes was
on
really amazing.
On a couple of tunes that I played, those they were like pieces of EMT, electrical.
Okay.
And that's So I for a few years I really got immersed in doing that.
Right.
And I had met. I knew a lot of people in the being a native.
Right.
People who were down in there. So I ended up playing with various groups, and in that kind of like session-y kind of way, where you just come in and play for a couple of without being a formal member of the group.
Right.
As you know, with my playing with Liquid Liquid,
of course,
with tunes,
right,
which was a lot of fun because you kind of get to play all kinds of different music, like styles.
And you got to play a lot of shows with us, especially in New York.
We went down to Washington D.C. Remember?
That's right.
Club.
The 9.
I was in Boston. We played in Boston too.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was cool.
Wow.
We toured, and the East Coast, but we did drive around a bit. With
I remember. Oh yeah, his big truck. We went to Montreal once in that truck.
Really?
What a trip that was! Bumping in the back.
I actually have an upcoming show in Montreal.
Oh wow!
Thing.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute too. Your art. So yeah, keep going.
So it was really exciting. I think I mostly in the '80s for me. Into the '90s, I started to taper off from the music, but during the '80s, I played with Elliott Sharp. We put out a
I know him.
ISM. Yep. R stands for a record. And it was a great experience working with all these different types of musicians.
Wow. Did you play with Konk too?
I played with Konk. I recorded with Konk. I did like some berimbau tracks and a few things. Yeah.
I loved playing with Konk. I mean, they were always fun. The double bill was always
great. You guys
great.
Double billed quite often.
Right. Yeah. We did. Like Peppermint Lounge.
Poster right there.
Those couple of years were really exciting in New York.
They were, and it was super hectic and busy.
Oh, and the crowds were just really wild. I mean, we got there at 7:00 for the sound check, and then the show wasn't until like 1 a.m.
Right.
It was like waited all night in a hotel or somebody's house.
We toured with ESG too.
Oh yeah, that's right.
With ESG because you shared the label 99 Records.
Right.
Yeah,
in fact, I was just a couple months ago saw Bill Bauman. I actually went to his house. Yeah, it was great seeing him. I hope to have him on the podcast. He hasn't confirmed it yet, but I'm trying to get a lot of people on here because it's kind of fun to get everybody's perspective on because it's, wow, 40 years already. It's
I
like,
know,
really,
right?
time
40
has
years.
really flown by
Crazy.
fast.
It's crazy.
So you did that, and then you're doing your artwork is amazing now, right? You've got a lot of shows.
Yeah,
and
I mean, I'm like kind of, basically making a living from it,
that's
pretty much.
great. Wow, that's
So it's
fantastic.
yeah, I've been lucky. But I've
Well,
been
you got
also very active. It's not like it just fell into my lap.
right.
I had to put in a lot of work, and
Well, that art world is tough. I mean, it's just a lot.
well, yeah, it's very, it's very competitive, and it's very, it has its exclusions, and it's hoity-toity, and there's a lot of stuff that just is needless. So you have
Right.
to deal with that. People with money. Maybe it's what it is. It's because it's you want people to buy your work, and let's face it, poor people don't buy art.
Well, right, and it's it's what kind of following you have, and because it's
So
people
there's a
look.
lot of you deal with a lot of kind of crap like that, but it's I mean, you get to learn to navigate the whole thing.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
I
So
don't get
go ahead.
caught up in the art world per se. That's my fingers here.
Yeah, there you go.
The art world as opposed to making art.
Oh yeah, I mean you're involved with the actual art world. I paint myself, but it's just for fun. I've sold a couple paintings, but it's a lot of work to. I don't really feel I have the time to try to make the effort at it. So
Well,
like you
it's
do,
like anything. You're going to make a career. It's all consuming.
right? I remember you also in the elephant dance.
Oh yeah,
That was a lot
yeah.
of fun. I think I
That
have
was fun. That was fun.
a tape of somewhere.
There was a bunch of good players on there too.
Oh, great players.
Yeah.
And the guy
Stuart
that played.
I still stay somewhat in touch with Stuart Argabright, who
Oh,
was
great.
he had two other. He's the guy who did the Dominatrix Sleeps Tonight.
Oh
And
yeah, that's right.
he did a bunch of stuff with Rem LZ, with Death Comet Crew.
I should get in touch with him.
And he also had a group called Ike Yard.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
The first group he was in was the Futons, which was
Okay.
late 70s, early 80s.
I don't remember. I remember
I
Ike
know
Yard.
it was a short-lived project. There were some good players.
Oh, I'm sure. There was a lot of good players back then.
Well, in New York, yeah, there was like a lot of people, a lot of musicians that were, or artists that had, slash musicians that were like involved and doing stuff, very active.
It's quite amazing that the liquid music is still played. We never thought after a couple of years that it would.
Right, because like Cavern became a club classic.
Right.
All the DJs play Cavern.
Right. Who would have? We never thought that. We thought after a couple of years.
That's cool because if you go with the intention, it generally doesn't pan out.
And we never wanted to go into the dance world. That wasn't really how we started. We were like an alternative band doing
but that
percussion music.
Just had the groove,
Right, exactly.
Flash,
right.
Straight up ripped off. I mean the Furious, that whole Sugar Hill basically.
Right. It was something.
Stole the bass line and the whole group.
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
the background when they're singing Something Like a Phenomenon.
Right. Oh yeah.
when
Sal
sings slipping in and out of Phenomenon.
That's right. Yeah. Sal is still active in music. He has this group called 178 Product. They play once a month in Brooklyn.
Oh, cool.
And I've gone there a couple times. I've actually joined him on stage. So he has a lot of fun. He still plays great and sings great.
I saw him about 2 years ago.
Okay.
So at an event that we were both part of.
Okay.
He seemed pretty good. I see Richard every now and then.
Yeah, I haven't seen Richard in years.
Really?
Well, I guess he's pretty busy with.
He's a very successful artist, and he is.
Yeah,
he had one. He had a few books.
Right.
published
Yeah.
and then translated, which is where it's real. That's where the money is with books. Is if
Oh,
you have
okay.
a book that's translated,
Right.
because you're getting all different languages.
Yeah. Well, we were very lucky too that we found, 99 Records, who had Ed's brother was working at Danceteria. We had the connections to get into clubs to play. So, there's a
Yeah,
lot of luck
yeah, you
involved.
guys did well, and you sounded good. You were tight.
Right. And it still sounds unique, that band. I mean, it
Yeah, it was
still
a
has.
good. It was definitely a sound of that time. We definitely
Exactly.
represented the time.
And there were other groups doing that too. I mean, there was a band over in England called Pig Bag.
I remember Pig Bag. Yeah,
They were good. They were a
Pig
similar.
Bag. When there was Pig
The
Bag.
big beat was happening.
It was a double bill with Pig Bag and
I think we
Konk.
were playing Konk. Okay, right.
Pig Bag and Konk. It might have been Danceteria.
And then we played the Mud Club. I don't know. Did you play there?
Probably.
Yeah, you played all the clubs with us. I think you were.
Pretty much. We did a lot. Yeah.
We did a lot together, and then we had a couple of guys from Konk come on. Shannon play trumpet at the end on some of the shows. I have some rare video of some of those shows.
Oh, it'd be great to see that.
Yeah, I'll have to try to get them to you or make a copy. I might put some clips on this YouTube channel, just songs from some of those shows, the Tompkins Square Park, the Peppermint Lounge. So we'll see what happens.
Of all the videos that exist, the one from one I don't know how many versions of the Tompkins Square Park video are, but that one gets the most circulation.
How about that?
And I mean for Konk anyway. I don't think I've seen the Liquid Liquid. Tompkins Square, but I know that the Konk was on YouTube and it got a lot of hits.
Well, I'm sure it did. I mean, they played great too that day, and I remember it was a really hot August day.
It was hot. It was.
It was.
Yeah.
It was, but the people were into it, and we always had people into dancing at that time, and we made people move.
It was such a great time.
But we were so
a
different.
Great group of people,
right?
The whole like entourage.
Yep, that's what it was.
There was a lot of people that would always show up, and that we were just hanging with us.
Right, and it was great. And you were a great part of it, Al. I mean, you really were inspiration when you came on stage and added those bellophones, and then everything just took off, especially the Bellhead song. I really remember that very well.
Yeah, that was fun, man.
But so I guess it's been great talking to you here. I don't know. I don't want to make it too long. I know people's attention span is not too long out there, but right. We're on for 2 minutes. That's it. I got a new song. 5 seconds. So,
right, and then like their brain goes somewhere.
Right. Brain goes someplace else. Right.
But
let's keep in touch.
We had a blast during those days.
Oh, we did.
So much fun.
And you were a major part of it. I mean, you were really an inspiration.
And we would end up at like the diners at like 3 or 4 in the morning.
That's right. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, after a show. But we were so hyped up after the show, you couldn't sleep. But to wait till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning and then only play a half hour, 40-minute set, it was quite.
That was the norm. That was the standard.
Right. It was. That's all the bands played. And then if you played,
sometimes you had to wait for like 2 or 3 bands that
if you waited, big dance clubs, it was like 3 songs at 4 in the morning. I remember that we did that at the Paradise Garage.
Oh, at the garage, yeah.
They had
3
songs
there.
3 songs.
You guys played the garage, which is pretty epic,
It was, and we opened up for Chaka Khan.
That's pretty huge.
That was pretty amazing.
That's pretty huge.
It was.
Open up for Chaka Khan is pretty impressive.
Yeah, it was really.
That's one for the record.
It is. I mean, we were pretty.
Not a lot of people can say that they actually opened up for Chaka Khan.
I know. It was just been playing at the Paradise Garage of all places,
I know,
where
that's excellent.
we never expected to play. That's the amazing thing about all this art that we all did, the music. It just keeps spiraling because it was so good and unique.
Yeah.
And this period of music, I don't know. I don't relate to it as much. I mean, I'm sure there's great bands out there. You just have to find them.
You have to find them.
Yep.
But yeah, it's not what it was.
No.
There was a lot of inspiration and a lot of resistance, and people were generally more experimental.
Exactly.
There was new stuff coming out that has become old stuff now.
Right.
People rely so heavily on like auto-tune and this kind of stuff that sounds, it's just so robotic.
I can't stand it.
And it's just awful. And
it is.
And there were I mean, during that period, there was a lot of like new synthesizers and just sounds and drum machines and bass machines and things that you could just like play around with that were, electronic, but people were more experimental. They didn't just, like keep it on the same setting,
Right. Well, the Prophet synthesizer really changed
Prophet
things.
5, the Prophet
yep.
10, the
There's a lot
Voyage.
of those settings on there. You hear a lot on those a lot of those records.
Yeah.
They had a very distinct sound.
What was the other one? The Fairlight.
Right. Oh yeah, I remember that. Yep. Yeah, those were really.
The Prophet 5 and the Prophet 10 really were the most utilized.
Oh, absolutely.
For the industry, and of course a drum machine, the Roland 808.
Right, and then the DBX too, Oberheim DBX drum machine. That was big too. So you had those sounds mixed in with vocals and drums
and acoustic sound. Like you always had like you played the rotos, right? You had
rototoms. Yep.
Yeah. You don't see rototoms anymore, man.
No, they're gone.
It was like what was that company? Remo.
Yep. I still have them. I still have them.
I had a few rotos. I had a stack of 3.
Oh,
smaller ones.
How about that?
Yeah.
I got those, and then I met Richard in college, and all that just developed. So it was just, it's being in the right place at the right time, I guess.
Yeah, but you were one of the more musicians.
Probably was. Yeah. Well, I never took lessons though. I didn't read any music.
You could play really well. You had good chops.
Well, thank you. And you did too. I mean, we all really, we had to play good to play in front of all those people.
Yeah.
We had to be good. We couldn't let anybody down, especially with the pressure on. Those were big crowds back then. Now that I think about it, it was like, wow, I have young guys in their early 20s, doing this stuff.
That's usually when it happens.
That's true.
Nobody wants to look at a bunch of old guys.
No, not me. Not me anymore. Nobody wants to look at me anymore. I'm an old guy. But I thought this would be fun to do, these podcasts, to talk to everybody again. And it's always great seeing you, Al.
Yes, absolutely, Dennis.
And we'll call it call it a day here, but great seeing you. And all the listeners, just subscribe to the channel. And I'm going to have more guests on too. So keep watching.
Keep me posted.
Oh, absolutely. So nice seeing you again.
Maybe you might want to talk to Bruce Topsky.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to touch base with everybody and try to get a lot of people on, because this is fun to do.
I see Bruce every now and then.
You do?
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I forgot about to contact him. He worked on a lot of our video.
He worked on a lot of stuff.
He did. He really did. Yeah. He did a lot of helped with our early recordings.
I know. That's why I mentioned him. Yeah.
So, all right, Al. It's great seeing you.
All right, Dennis. It's good talking to you, man.
Stay good. Take it easy. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.